Well, hello there. Welcome to Acadian Comics. I'm your host, James Fondren, and I did a video last week on Comics Hall. I just received Godlike, Jon Malin's Godlike, Book 1, the Romulus Saga, in the mail in a Gemini 2 mailer. And I have read this book, and I gotta say, this is pretty awesome, John. I love your art, of course, stylization of everything, and your art style. I mean, obviously, I know your influence, Rob Liefeld, Image. I know you were at Marvel, and this has got to be like, it's just. I think this is just amazing. Some of your best work, right? So, uh, I want to just give everybody a heads up that this book. If you missed out on it, I feel bad because it's a great book. It's the first book, so there's a lot of setup. So, um, what I want to talk about is, you know, some of the influences I believe, and I'm just this is my opinion. I'm doing some interpretation here, but and I'm going to show some of the pages, but not all of them. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. But look, I mean, the art is well executed. Everything's great. Of course it is. I mean, it's Jon Malin. He is a consummate professional. He is a comic book professional. And of course, I have the convention special here. This is the convention special. So yeah, this opening page here, like kind of laying out the world that you're in, it reminds me of Dune, and it reminds me of the beginning of Dune 1984, and there, how they show you kind of the illustrated versions of Arrakis and Caladan and Giedi Prime. It's very similar, right? It's got that Frank Herbert um, mentality to it. It's got that Dune mentality to it, and then kind of the beginning, it's like a very long. I mean, you've got several pages that are basically prologue, like start talking about the worlds and what's going on, but um, very well set up, very well executed. I mean, I was in it. It's like, and very similar to with Dune, you kind of lose, kind of lose the details. It's like, well, I'm gonna have to go back and read that. Like, okay, all right, how many generations was it? It was 22 generations before humanity could populate the surface of a moon and a world. And there was famine, disease, and it's this idea of where we are now and where would humanity be in 10,000 years. We repeat cycles. We go back through a renaissance, we go through a dark age, a new dark age emerges, all these things. And you know it's he's got it. Like, he's nailing that. This is fantastic. um but I want to keep this short, and I want to get straight to like my thoughts about this first book. And I really I want the second book. Like, I would love to read the second book like now, but this is 2 years in the making. It took 2 years, and it's worth it. And I think the themes and motifs John is expressing here are powerful. And I don't want to skip to the end of the book if you haven't read it, but I want to talk about two dynamics. Okay, and this is, you've got to have clear, good. This book is very much like, your people, the evil and the good are clearly defined in this book. It is abundantly clear what is going on. And then obviously this is the TriStar, the sword, and the whole, you learn about the sword, and it's got very much the sword and the stone. It's very Arthurian legend esque. King Arthur. This is sort of like a round table sort of scenario here, but it's great. It's really good, and he's pulling all these great influences in to make something completely original. And what I want to talk about is, and this is something that I'm doing in my stories too, and I think there needs to be a greater focus on it, is more clearly defining good versus evil. We need to get back to that bread and butter. We need to get back to that foundation. And this is something that Jon Malin executes brilliantly, actually. And when you read this book and you see the protagonist, you see the antagonist, and you see the good guys, you see the bad guys, it's so clear. But what's really fascinating, and I guess at this point we're 5 minutes in, 5 minutes 40 seconds in, on my camera, but it's probably a little bit more with my introduction. There are going to be spoilers from this point on. So my review, just if you're going to stop watching now, is excellent book. I hope you had a chance to pick it up. If you can pick it up on the aftermarket, great. I got the convention special. Godlike is Godlike. It's a good book. So let me talk a little bit about, and I don't want to show too many more pages out of respect to Jon as the artist and the creator of Godlike, but what I want to talk about is, what he lays down. He lays some really deep things. You're getting into human origins. You're getting into kind of, cosmic abandonment. You're getting into the technocracy, the evil technocracy that currently controls the world. The occultocracy, the evil which is linked to the technocracy. It's an extension wing of the same bird of prey. And you get into human origins, and basically humanity was genetically modified, made into a slave species, and there's a return to that slavery. But there's this idea of free will, this idea of freedom, and it kind of is America. Like, we get back to America and what America's supposed to be, but we've forgotten. And Jon, he expresses that in this book. And I don't want to get into spoilers, but there are key moments in human history where someone makes a sacrifice and for people to be free. And you see, this is how long the prologue is. Look, this is all prologue essentially. And then you get to the first chapter. So this is good stuff, excellent stuff. But I think that it's got so much merit, and it's so deep, and it's deeper than anything you're going to get in the mainstream. I'm sorry, they're not going to go there. They're not going to talk about the technocracy and the occultocracy the way Jon's doing it. They're not going to go there. They're not going to say it point blank, and this idea that history is cyclical and we repeat the same things over and over again. We make and things get reformulated. What was once understood as science is now perceived as magic. Can you imagine if we flew in an airplane back to 2000 BC? Someone would think that, well, that's magical. You're in a giant bird of some kind of, there's nuclear Armageddon in the past, in humanity's past, which is like all of our present. So I really enjoyed this book. Jon, thank you for making it. Thank you for putting in it as the triple threat variant. And you're also an activist too, for free speech and civil liberties, civil rights, through your actions at C2E2, and through civil disobedience. And the way he exercised his righteous indignation in a very calm way was good. And I think it showed a lot of people that, we should be included, and people should not be excluded. Someone who can produce this level of art should not be excluded from a comic book convention for their political ideology or views. And really, what people don't take into account is there's more depth to a person than just politics. And this goes beyond politics. This goes beyond that. There's a concept in here, and I'll finish up, that I really enjoyed. When you see this sword here, and obviously we're getting into some spoilers, you see the sword here, the TriStar. When the main character connects with it, he gets in touch with basically the Om. The Om, like Om. Well, Om is the sound of the universe. It's the all. It's the mind of the universe. It's the create. It's God, the creator. It's creation itself. So it's like when we stray away from that, we have problems. But then when we get back to alignment with the creator, the natural laws of the universe, and we stand against evil, then we're truly empowered to do good in the world and to do right action. So that's why this is a good comic book, because not only the art and the execution, which is we should expect from such a talented artist as Jon, but his story is really, it's got a lot of depth. I wish that there was someone in Hollywood that had the balls to make a movie to make this movie exactly as Jon has written this. I can't wait for volume 2. And just a little side note, on the spine here, you can see Godlike, Godlike book 1. Sorry about the autocorrect there. Malin. So the little details, the Godlike symbol on the back, and then the book cover, which is I opted for the convention special, and it's a triptych. And actually, I have the 2 other books coming, so I'll put them together, and that'll be a nice little kind of souvenir for cultural and social history in America, where people are denied entry to set up as exhibitors at a comic book convention at C2E2 and sell their product and compete openly in America in the free market. So this is still America, and what happened to Jon and Shane Davis and Ethan Van Sciver was wrong, and it's immoral. So this book is very much about right and wrong. It's very much about these forces, and the backstory and everything that he's giving you is excellent. So there's a lot of setup. So it makes me think of big epics like Dune. I think of Dune when I think of this. I think of other stories that came into mind. Obviously, you've got the motif of the sword and the stone with with the TriStar here. The sword being pulled out of the stone. Only someone tied to their blood can genetically can unlock this sword. It's tied directly to this person. It's their lineage, if you will, and they bear the sword of responsibility. They bear the sword of fighting for liberty and human freedom. It's all of our responsibility. We're all obligated to act in some way, so we all have freedom for our families, for each other, and for future generations to come. So beautiful book, Jon. It was really, as a comic book reader, I enjoyed this so much, and I wish you the best of luck with this. I hope it continues. I hope that it grows and you do more of these. I know you will, and it's worth the wait for a quality product like this. You pick up a mainstream book, and it's floppy, and it's not going to be like this. You're getting quality here in the independent space, and congratulations on your release. Excellent book.